Somebody asked if I would elaborate on the passage in Matthew 7 about enter through the narrow gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many enter through it. But small is the gate and narrow the road that leads to life, and only a few find it. I think there's different ways to view this, but I think one of the ways is to think in terms of the extent to which God went on the cross to bring the offer of, the possibility of, or depending on your theological point of view, the reality of salvation. And I certainly believe that it's true that Jesus loves me enough that if I'd been the only one, that he might very well have gone to the cross for me. But of course, I was not the only one. And there is the church, the bride of Christ. And I think that, as Spurgeon said, we may be very surprised at people who are in heaven who did turn to Christ in their time of death, who had heard the gospel and rejected it most of their life, or surprised at the number of children and mentally incapable people who God graciously may extend the blood of Christ to cover them. And certainly throughout history, the number of the high degree of infant mortality, and if those children are indeed covered by the blood of Christ, it could be a very large population. But how does that fit with enter through the narrow gate, wide is the gate, and broad is the road that leads to destruction? Well, I think he's talking about two people who are walking through life, two people who have an opportunity to choose and the mental capacities to choose. They are making this choice and that choice, and few there be who find it can be a way of saying far fewer than you think to anyone who believes that most people would be going there. And remember, the Pharisees were convinced that they were going there. They had earned heaven. If anybody deserved heaven, it was them. And he says, unless your righteousness exceeds that of the scribes and Pharisees, you won't enter the kingdom of heaven. So it would appear to be a very narrowing statement when he says it. But actually, it's a broadening statement to all, because it's not just open to scribes and Pharisees. You have to have a righteousness to exceed it. Well, who can have that? With men, it's impossible. But with God, all things are possible, so he offers us a gift of Jesus' redemptive work on the cross. And that widens and opens this offer to the world, and that's missions and evangelism and bringing the message of Jesus Christ. So there will be many people who reject. There will be people who do not come to faith. But what I'm saying with this passage is I fully believe it, and yet at the same time, I believe it's talking to people who are of an age and of a level of mental rationality that they are walking through life choosing gates to go through. And that there are many people, many individuals who have come into this world or died in childbirth, miscarriage, who were not able to.